And hello and welcome to the Metabolic Balance ANZ podcast. So this is where we share real stories and insights to help you understand what metabolic balance is all about and how personalized nutrition could potentially help you. I'm Cherry Wills, your host today, and I am delighted to say I'm joined by Matt and Lauren Stone. Lauren started her MB journey back in March of 2022. And Matt followed a few years later in the beginning of this year in 24. And they are going to share their experience with us today. So a big welcome and a big thanks to both of you. Hello to Lauren and Matt.
Thanks so much for having us. Hey.
So Lauren, would you mind painting a picture of where you were at the beginning of 2022? What led you to find Metabolic Balance?
So for probably the 10th time in my life, I'd been to see my GP with a list of symptoms, fatigue, unexplained weight gain, just a whole list of things I couldn't explain. And once again, they did a blood panel where everything came back completely normal. And I was at my wit's end. At the time, I was seeing an osteopath and asked them if they had any recommendations for a nutritionist or a dietitian or something in the area. And they led me to Sharon. That's where I began my metabolic balance journey.
So you said, you had a myriad of symptoms. What was the key thing? Was it the fatigue? You mentioned that fatigue.
Fatigue was a big issue, but it was mainly the unexplained weight gain. I found weight so easy to put on and just impossible to lose.
Okay.
You could also remember while you were pregnant with Lydia as well, it was one of the first times that you actually felt good. And then we kept eating the same thing after Lydia was born, but you were putting on weight as opposed to, it was very strange.
So in your first pregnancy, you felt good. And then
so
after that pregnancy,
we had a bit of a fertility journey, diagnosed with unexplained infertility, but it took us 2 years to eventually conceive our daughter naturally, even after we'd started to go down the assisted fertility route. But while I was pregnant, I just felt fantastic, to be honest. Apart from the normal morning sickness, and I had some complications at the end with high blood pressure and a hip injury. But everybody kept asking me, "Aren't you tired?" And I just wasn't. I felt fantastic and was actually was not putting on a lot of weight during the pregnancy. So when I had Liddy, I lost a lot of weight really quickly. But then as soon as my hormones normalized, within a really short period of time, I put on like 10 kilos, even though Matt and I, because during the fertility journey, we hadn't really been drinking. We were eating really healthy, or what we considered to be really healthy. Just continued to put weight on. So at that point, I was at my wit's end, and seeing the osteopath for my hip injury said, is there anyone that you can recommend? Because I figured if weight loss was sort of the biggest sign that there was something wrong, that maybe food was a good place to start.
So you found Sharon and you started Metabolic Balance pretty soon after that in March 22, just got going.
She did the initial blood chemistry analysis, and sort of from first consultation to starting the program was maybe 3 weeks.
Okay, cool. And so tell us, would you mind sharing what your starting weight was when you started?
Yeah, so I got up to 89 kilos.
And how tall are you, just so we can get a picture in my head?
169 centimeters.
Yeah, okay. So it was very much an uncomfortable weight for you to be holding on to.
Well and truly, heaviest I'd ever been in my life.
Yeah. And so tell us, what happened in those first few weeks? How did you start to feel?
From the get-go, I just felt fantastic. It was a really quick turnaround for me. I was sleeping better. The fatigue was pretty much gone. My joint pain got a lot better really quickly. The main thing that I noticed is that I hold a lot of inflammation and puffiness around my face and my hands, and within maybe a week of starting, that the inflammation around my face reduced really quickly.
It was really noticeable even for me as well.
Yeah. It must have been lovely for you, Matt, actually, to start to see Lauren feeling better so quickly too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were so many other things that we blamed the fatigue on, be it young kids, work, all that sort of stuff. But Lauren just kept saying, it doesn't feel right. Something's not right. So it was, quite a turnaround when Lauren started the program.
Yeah. I often would think people listening here will kind of want to know the answer to this question, which is, how different was your food with Metabolic Balance to how it was before? I mean, what would you say was a difference?
Probably very different, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd always sort of tried to do a good split between protein and vegetables. But there was a lot of vegetables that I had been eating in quite a high quantity that were just not on my food list, like kale and broccoli. So cutting those out immediately made a difference, I think.
So it was cutting out what many people would actually say is some healthy vegetables that everybody should eat, but they weren't on your list. So it wasn't what you were needing to eat for change. Yeah. That's what we see. I mean, it is about finding the right foods for each person. Yeah. So how did can you paint a picture again for how the journey progressed? So we've, the first couple of weeks you were really starting to feel better. And then how was the weight shifting and everything else?
The first few weeks, the weight shifted so quickly. I was talking to a friend about it the other day who's just started, and I lost like 8 kilos in the first month.
Wow.
So then it plateaued there for a little while, which my coach Sharon assured me that I just had to trust the program and stick with it.
Just wait.
And then it started to drop again. But I didn't quite get down to my goal weight. And then we found out that we were pregnant with our second child, which was quite the surprise, especially after the 2-year fertility journey with the first one. We were not expecting a little surprise. So I do
how
also.
Gorgeous! I mean, I love hearing about metabolic balance babies.
Yeah, I do think my body was in I guess such good health that it was just a easy conception.
When we spoke to Sharon about it, she was quick to say, "You have me to thank or to blame, depending on which way you want to look at it." So, but it was a lovely surprise because I think we had, after our first Lydia, we had both kind of said, "Well, we don't want to go down the fertility treatment again. So if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It was meant to be." But yes, we certainly didn't intend on having two quite so close together. But it's what it is now, and it's been great.
Oh, how wonderful! So who's arrived now? Then what's her name? Is it her? A girl?
Little girl was the first one, Lydia, and then we've got a little boy, Theodore. Yeah. So we.
How gorgeous! How gorgeous!
Lydia and Ted.
Lydia and Ted, how wonderful. And so, Matt,
yes,
tell me what led you to start your journey this year.
Yeah, so obviously I was seeing the results, and I thought the program was fairly interesting. And even taking a step back to when Lauren started and was looking for a nutritionist or a dietitian to work with, I said, let's do it together. But then she sort of started with Sharon. It was a very personalized program, and I was very busy with work, and we had Lydia, and so Lauren just kind of ran with it and was getting the results. Now I think naturally, and Sharon had told Lauren to tell me, I was not to follow Lauren's program. But I guess because Lauren was doing so much food prep, probably the amount of eating out that I did, mainly because I was going to the office and you buy lunch and all that sort of stuff. But because Lauren was doing so much food prep, I was getting in on that and taking advantage of it. And whilst at that point I didn't have tons of weight to lose or anything, I did notice that I was feeling a bit better, and I did lose a little bit of weight, especially when I cut out alcohol. That was always one of the things. Stop drinking beers, stop making this the only curl you do, and some weight falls off. And so eventually, I also, due to a loss of a couple of family members and a few other things, there was I started to get pretty anxious about my health. I'm not at the big 4-0 yet, but I'm getting there. And I sort of thought, this might be the right time to start thinking a little bit more seriously with 2 young kids about my health. I've been putting off getting blood work done and all that sort of stuff. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to get the blood work done, why go to a GP when I can go to Sharon, kick off the program, and really go down this path instead? It's going to give me the same sort of results. I think the other thing that in hindsight, thinking about, and I've spoken to Lauren about this as well, is sort of growing up, my parents did a good job of doing a lot of home-cooked meals and giving us a lot of nutritious meals and that sort of thing. But I never thought about what it was that was right for me to eat. Like, I never knew what I should be eating, what is healthy, what is the right portion size, what is the right balance between carbs and fats and proteins and all that sort of stuff. It's just, as the joke goes, for the longest time, I was on the seafood diet, especially as a...
Seafood and eat it.
Yeah, seafood and eat it. Especially as a teenager and in my early 20s. Yeah. So the other thing that was driving me there is I did start to get a little bit curious about, well, what should I eat? What does healthy eating look like? Because it's not my background. I don't do anything in the related to the health industry, so I just didn't know.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I think it's such a great point and so true. We aren't ever taught really anything about what personalized nutrition, or even that such a thing even really exists. It's almost like human beings, everybody has the same healthy diet, which really, when you think about it, it makes absolutely zero sense to say that we all should eat the same foods with the same nutritional profile. It's
I think there's
kind of a bit crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misinformation out there as well, which I often threw good eating in the too hard basket, because there was so much misinformation that I didn't know what to believe. And I'd long heard this sort of saying that weight is lost in the kitchen and fitness is gained at the gym. But I guess that never really rang true until I started this program, because I was quite overweight, probably in my mid-20s, and I did manage to lose a bunch of weight before the program, just with diet and exercise and restricting myself, so to speak. But hit a plateau before I started the program. But I guess, and thought that's probably, I'm just a big guy. That's probably my normal. So what was interesting was then starting the program and seeing how much more fell off till I reached sort of my new level or plateau, if you will.
Well, your new normal, or your real normal is actually what I said. Yeah, your real normal in some ways. So how heavy were you when you started in January this year?
91 kilos.
91 kilos. Okay, cool. Yep. And your height, if you don't mind sharing, just again so we can get a nice picture.
192, 193.
Okay. Yeah, okay. And so you got your plan, and obviously it's different to Lauren's.
Yep. So one of the first things we did was put them side by side to have a look at what was in common. Yeah.
Would you say that when you actually have the right mindset, you can pretty much find solutions and make anything work though as well? I mean, you both knew what you wanted to do, so you got your plans and you just did it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered what Matt's food list looked like. We would have made it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Again, I'm very grateful for the time that Lauren had doing the program before, because I've never been the chef. So the fact that Lauren had, thought about creative ideas, really started to work in a lot more herbs and spices and stuff like that would have never gone down those routes before. That certainly benefited me when I came onto the program.
So would you say that your cooking skills, Matt, your cooking skills, or even, and you, Lauren, as well, Lauren, have your cooking skills enhanced and grown over the last couple of years?
I would say that I've gotten more adventurous and
Yay!
and better at adapting recipes to make them metabolic balance friendly. So I didn't have to, we didn't have to change or get rid of everything we were already eating. We just made easy swaps.
That's
Whereas myself,
exactly
I've
what I
gone from
say.
easy swaps.
Yeah.
Whereas I've gone from
I
barely doing any cooking to now just doing some, which is good, and mine's edible as opposed to just being, seafood diet, as we joked before.
Yeah. See, I love that as well. That's awesome. Because I honestly do believe that pretty much any recipe actually could potentially be adapted in some way to a degree to be metabolic balance friendly. And I love that you see that too. Yeah. So is there anything else that you would share as sort of tips or tricks as a couple working, and doing metabolic balance, or even talking about the benefits you felt as a couple?
I think when you did that comparison, so not only did we have the crossover foods, and as we said, the 3 columns, what's for Matt, what's for Lauren,
Yeah.
what do we share in the middle?
Yeah.
But we then took our plans and kind of looked at the recommended meal structure that's in your plan, and then also tried to align those as best we could, so that we weren't having things polar opposite. So the meals sort of had to align. I think because we've got 2 young kids and we're both working now, etc. as well, there was an element of looking at, if there was something we were cooking at night, would that fit into the next day's lunch? Because I think a lot of people, try and take leftovers for lunch, and that was probably one of the original struggles, especially for myself, when I was in the strict phase, and we hadn't quite done this process of comparing everything. Now I have to think about prepping 3 things. Well, if you sort of set it up, and if your plan works that way, see how you can get your dinner to flow into your lunch, and make sure you maintain your variety. And that certainly did help a bit as well.
Yeah, we really found that just preparation was key. So generally speaking, we would do a meal plan at the beginning of the week, and then do our grocery shop, and then try and make our meals work in with each other. And I would do a little bit of meal prep. I've always got jars of crispy chickpeas and things like that in the pantry, so that there's easy options to grab if you just don't have time.
Yeah.
And we've got our
vital,
go-to staples for quick lunch. So I think there's been a couple of instances since entering phase 4 where you've fallen off the wagon, life's gotten busy, there's been a lot of social events,
or just Christmas and New Year,
silly season, all that sort of stuff, and you do maybe you let the program go. But I think what's interesting is how quickly you kind of notice, wow, I feel like crap again. And Sharon taught us, and we've given it a try. You kind of go, all right, I'm just gonna reset for a couple of weeks. Go back to phase 2 for a couple of weeks, or even phase 3 with your foods and just those couple of other ones that you've tested, and it bounces back really quickly. Both if you put on some weight, that falls off, or just the sleep quality improving again. There's some changes that happen quite quickly.
Yeah. Is it that case that you actually realize how good you can feel? Whereas before, the feeling kind of rubbish was just kind of the norm, really. So you just kept on going with it. But as soon as you start to feel well, you realize, I don't want to feel like that anymore.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, because you can't ever go back now, because you know where the bar is. You definitely do notice more easily as soon as you're not feeling as great as you once did. I think the other thing that's been quite amazing that's worth mentioning is, as we've said, we've got these young kids. One of them's in daycare now, bringing home every cold and flu as she's starting her daycare journey. And so far, touch wood, we've held strong. So I think our immune systems are definitely benefiting as well.
The kids are sick constantly, but so far Matt and I haven't picked up anything from them.
other than maybe a sniffle. Yeah.
Wow, I don't think many young parents of young kids can say that. That's awesome, and it doesn't surprise me.
Don't jinx us, as I said.
Yeah.
Touch wood.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me either, because the immune system really is. It can be incredibly protective. Obviously, it can. It's an immune system, but when you're healthy, yeah, awesome.
I was just going to say, it's also just little tweaks to the way I cooked things. So, like, for instance, Matt and I had a few vegetables that were different, and so that I didn't have to weigh things twice when I was like simply just roasting vegetables or something like that. I'd just separate my baking tray, so that Matt's vegetables were roasting on one side and mine were roasting on the other. So yeah, things like that that just made meal prep just a little bit easier.
I think depending on your breakfast too, the other thing that I would wouldn't say caution people with, but think about is if you've got breakfasts that aren't quick breakfasts. I've had to shift to really just trying to do some of that, just the chopping and weighing and portioning out the night before, so that breakfast then became more of, okay, now I'm just cooking it rather than starting from the beginning. Because especially when Lauren went back to work, that was a big shift, and I think we're still working that out. Probably like all young families, trying to get that balance in the morning, trying to get the kids out the door, plus yourselves and everything else. So any sort of prep you can do is just going to reduce stress.
So, what were your results, Matt? What can you share? What happened and how you?
Sure.
You're
So,
feeling now?
started at 91 kilos. Went down as low as 82 and a half. And then now that we're sort of in phase 4 and we're kind of normalizing the 80-20 rule, I'm sitting about the 85 mark, and I'm really comfortable there. I forget the measurements off the top of my head, but one thing that Sharon encouraged me to really watch in the future was the waist measurement. There was quite a reduction in the waist measurement, as well as sort of the inflammation and the thigh measurement for myself as well. So I've got a great photo of, or I made the joke to Sharon at one point, there's the expense of doing the program, but what I think everyone fails to mention is the expense of the wardrobe, right? Because all these work clothes and stuff that I have that fit me, I've got this photo of, classic weight loss photo where I'm holding my work pants out in front of me that are now far too big. I had to go sort of adjust some sizes.
Well, we'd love that photo. If you'd share that photo,
I'll find it and
let us. Yeah, then we can
send it through.
You can see it. That's awesome.
Sure.
So again, how did you feel? How have you? I mean, weight loss is wonderful, but actually, it's how you feel and the life you get back, kind of thing. What would you share about that?
To both of us or myself?
Yeah, to both of you. I mean, please just share how you've.
I think for me, it was a big increase in general energy levels. So I've just got so much more energy for the kids than I had before, and they get more energetic every day. So that's a good thing. And just like there's really not too much that isn't better. My mental health is better. My overall relationship with food is just completely changed over the last couple of years. Like most girls that grew up in the 90s, just had a terrible relationship with food. So have been on and off diet since I was in primary school, and I've always been the chubby girl. And that always had a huge impact on my self-esteem. And throughout the years, I would try a diet, and I would often get results and be able to lose weight, but it was never maintainable. Whereas Metabolic Balance has been just able to be maintained, and now I don't have to stress about food all the time anymore.
And even just explaining it to people that it's not a diet. They're like, oh, what are you doing? You're doing some diet. No, it's not a diet. It's just a meal plan. And it's just what I eat now most of the time. So I think some of the changes that I saw, similar to Lauren, there's just been a boost in energy. For me, not being as foggy at work or needing that afternoon coffee to get through. I remember saying to Sharon probably at about the week 3 mark as I brought oils back in and was really starting to feel good. The focus level was insane. It's like that TV show or movie where I forget the name of it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's just feeling incredible.
Yeah.
There was also
I think.
Sorry.
No. Please carry on.
I was just going to say, I think I'm a little bit of a geek, and I have my Apple Watch and sort of various health devices. I think the other thing that surprised me, like taking my blood pressure and use the watch to track your sleep and your resting heart rate and all that sort of stuff. There's probably just some of those metrics that improved really quickly. Like they were okay to begin with; they were all within normal ranges, but my blood pressure improved a lot. My resting heart rate plummeted. And the quality of sleep and the depth of sleep all improved as well. So, and it was interesting just tracking those stats and seeing how they changed.
That's awesome, and I just love the fact that you're potentially going to be even better parents for your to your kids now, to Lydia and Ted. Is that right?
Yep, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah. I'm just so thrilled. And if so, have you've shared the program with a few friends as well, haven't you?
Lots of people.
We've sent probably 7 people Sharon's way, and 5 of them have ended up doing the program.
Including another couple who, are hoping to start a family too. So I think that was probably one of the selling points for them as well, is just to none of us are getting younger these days. So just to ease the process, hopefully, for them to have their own family soon.
That's amazing. And if there is another couple listening that is relating to what you guys are saying, what would you say to them?
That it's worth it?
Definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Maybe start one at a time. I think it's a dramatic. Okay. It is a dramatic shift. So maybe start one at a time. If someone is the chef in the household, maybe they go first. Like I keep saying it. I couldn't have done it without Lauren kind of getting it down pat first. But definitely worth it. And I think, as you already alluded to, our kids are going to benefit because now what they're eating, of course we spoil them and they get occasional treats and all that sort of stuff.
And they're toddlers.
So there's lots they refuse.
There's lots they don't eat.
But at least the intention is they're getting what we're eating anyway. And so with that, they're our kids. So genetically, a little bit of Lauren and I, then hopefully it's going to benefit them in the long run as well.
Yeah. But they're also going to grow up seeing parents with a really relaxed, natural relationship with food and eating, and feeling good. That's what I would also say.
Yeah, that's certainly the aim.
Yeah, I know that's something we've spoken about, especially with Lydia, right, and young females and body image and that sort of stuff. We want them to grow up and see what it looks like to be relaxed and just eat the right things.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And as a sort of a parting sort of comment, what would you sort of say has been the biggest thing that you're looking forward to in your future, even?
Longevity would be mine. Just good health and longevity. You have these kids and they do change you, and now I want to be around as long as possible. My dad jokingly says to me, he wants to live long enough to see my kids become a pain to me at the teenage years, and I want at least the same with these kids as well.
Oh, I love it.
For me, it would be just being relaxed about food and weight maintenance. Looking forward to not having to worry about it anymore. Because I've now maintained my weight loss for such a long period of time that, as I said, I don't think about food necessarily as good or bad anymore. And the guilt that I used to have around eating, bad foods, is just not there anymore. If I'm going out for dinner and there's something on the menu that I want to order, I just order it and I don't worry about it. So I'm looking forward to just continuing that relaxed relationship with food.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's been 2 years now since you started, and you're learning every day, and you're just moving forward.
Yeah,
So,
well, we had to, because I had to take a brief break from the program while I was pregnant with
yeah,
Ted.
pregnant, of course.
Yeah. So obviously the breaks between meals were just not maintainable.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
continued to try to eat off the food list. And I, had my apple every day, and I continued to drink my water, and all of the basic sort of rules, which made going back on it after Ted was born much easier. But it didn't take me long to drop down below my goal weight, and I've now maintained that for coming up on 12 months.
Yeah, fantastic. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much to both of you. I'm so grateful that you've shared your story with us today. And I just wish you all the best for the future.
Thank
you very much.
If you get any more little surprises, let us know.
Two's enough for now, I think.
Two's enough.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
No worries. Thanks.